Arsenal versus Leeds is an interesting game where Arsenal need to come back after a horrific 3-0 defeat to Aston Villa, in which we now return to talk about a really odd fixture. And so to do that, I'm going to be revealing to you, obviously, what I've got for my birthday, which is important. And if you're following us over on The Gooner Talk TV, you'll have a bit of a clue as to what that is. And obviously we'll go into my predicted lineups and a lot of the details about the game as well. So let's get cracking on with it. Hello and welcome to The Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reactions preview show. This show in which we look ahead to the next Arsenal game, always the day before the game. Some point throughout the day. Of course, I apologise profusely that I'm doing this when the Spurs-Manchester City game is on, and I'm well aware that a lot of people will be watching that. But it's weirdly been a busy day, despite being in birthday lockdown. So I'm thankful for that. There's a lot of virtual meets going on today, which I've been very appreciative of the people around me for sorting that out. We're going to talk a little bit about the game. We're going to go into the lineup, and then I'm going to reveal and have a bit of a chat to you about some birthday stuff, which should be fun. So let's crack on with things about Leeds. So Arsenal obviously need to get back into the swing of things this season, massively so, after 4 wins, 4 defeats, after 8 games. And the Leeds game is going to reveal to us over these last 2 weeks, has Arteta been able to turn our season around in terms of our attacking sense, in terms of our creativity? He's had players away on international duty. That is not going to have helped in preparation for this game. Leeds, meanwhile, will have had most of their squad back, which is a slight advantage for them. However, what I will say is that obviously these players playing matches like Aubameyang, etc., will have been playing matches, which you can't really quantify if you've had 2 weeks off. So there's pros and cons for both sides of this. What I will say is that the biggest negative will be that Arteta, will not have had the best opportunity to work on anything radical over the last 2 weeks. What he will have been able to do, though, is reflect on the defeat to Aston Villa, realise what he needs to do in this game. But the biggest thing for Arsenal this game, for me, is the missing Thomas Partey. There were rumours put around that supposedly he would be back and fit and ready for this match. That is not the case if you go by Mikel Arteta's press conference yesterday, which is frustrating because he's easily, in my mind anyway, the most influential player on the pitch for us currently. And without him, we look very, very fragile. And we looked exceptionally fragile after he was taken off against Villa. We looked slightly fragile, quite a bit fragile to be fair, before he went off. But after he went off, it was a field day for the Birmingham-based club. So I'm hoping and praying that we do what we need to do defensively without him, yet still enabling us to be our creative offensive selves, which just hasn't really happened this season. Hello to the live chat. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. Oh, I've just clicked on it to see all of your messages. Thank you ever so much, people. Absolute legends. Annoyingly, Spurs are looking a little bit good. It's currently 1-0. The score when I last looked, which is annoying. But thank you so much, guys. You look good for 26 years old, says Omar. Thanks. I don't know how to take that, to be honest. I'll take it as a compliment. Thank you, Yannick. Thank you, Kian. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, James. Thank you, Tawana. Thank you, Yannick. And Karthik. Thank you so much, guys. So yeah, Leeds Villa. Let's have a look at what I've picked for the lineup for tomorrow. Now, usually what we do sometimes is we do like my 11 and Arteta's 11. And the reason why I've not done it that way today is just I wanted to put a desired 11 out because this is really difficult to kind of predict what I think Arteta's going to go for, and to the point where I really couldn't. This is what I'd like us to do. Now, the first thing you see is that we've returned to a back three. And the reason for that is I just think that without Thomas Partey in the midfield, I can't see us being that defensively resolute against any side. We look kind of devoid, and I know that Gabriel has been good, but whoever kind of plays with Gabriel in the back four isn't as good as him, and does leave us vulnerable. And we know how much our wing backs want to push up the pitch, and when Tierney's on the left, he pushes up. When Bellerin's on the right, he pushes up. And I just feel that kind of leaves us that little bit more exposed. So I've gone to the original back three, and also you'll see in the middle of the park we've gone for the classic combination of Granit Xhaka and Dani Ceballos, which of course is something that worked really well at the end of last season. At the end of last season, we did quite well with those two playing there. It got us some big results in the FA Cup, got us results in the league against the likes of Liverpool. So there is big chances, I think, for these players. And Yannick says no Saliba. Well, Saliba played in the under-23s game yesterday, I think it was, and Emile Smith-Rowe obviously scored a really good goal. And we took the win, and Bellerin was sent off. So whether or not that means now he gets put into the Europa League squad because he won't have any competitive football to play for the Molde game, we'll have to wait and see on that. Willock over Xhaka. Bellerin is in the 11. WTFY. I don't see this big sell. I think Bellerin has been one of our better performers this season. And there is a clear agenda against the Spaniard. This is someone you were talking about that's had a good season to the point where he was called up for the Spain side. Yes, I know it was for someone when they pulled out injured, but this is for the first time that he's been called up for the Spain side, and I think it's something like 4 years. And the people within, I can tell you, within La Roja that choose and select the players have a lot of people to choose from. A lot of people to choose from. The right-back position within Spain is very well stocked. And so to turn around and think that he's not going to be in the starting 11 for us, I think is crazy. Absolutely crazy at this point in time, because he has been good this season. And there is a clear... I think for some people, unfortunately, if you have an opinion of a player, it doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter how good they perform. They will never, ever change their mind on someone. And that's the way I think a lot of people feel about Hector Bellerin. And this is coming from someone, obviously, that I'm very critical of certain players, and I know that sometimes I can come across as someone that maybe backs a player a bit more than maybe what is realistic. But I also think that I think level-headedly, and I think that I do come full circle on a lot of players, and I think I can admit when I've been wrong. I think Granit Xhaka is one of those where I've probably... Yannick, I know, will be nodding along and saying, yes, you have. But I think Granit Xhaka is someone that I may have put a lot more emphasis on than other players. But I think part of that is obviously down to sometimes unnecessary stick. And I think it's a similar case with Bellerin, but only in the sense that he gets a hell of a lot of stick. And actually, Bellerin deserves that spot. Really does, but deserve that spot. Last word, Guna says, Tom, do you think we showed Villa too much respect as we were the only team they managed to beat in their last 4 games? I think it's 2 things. I think one is, I think you're spot on. I think we had a bad game. We did allow them to come onto us way too much. But secondly, they did have a really good game. Like, you can't disregard that. Villa played exceptionally well, and they've had some really poor results surrounding that. And they just happen to have that amazing performance against us. And it feels like every time we lose against a side like this that they pull off some amazing performance and then go and lose their subsequent games. But it just happens sometimes. It just does. It's just the way the world works, unfortunately, and we got beat. So going into this Leeds game, very similar situation to Villa. I think they've lost their last 2 games as well, and they've conceded a fair few goals. So it's just weird. And Liverpool is another one that was pointed out to me in the chat by Jermaine. So there you go. They beat Liverpool 7-2. These results just happen. They just happen. So you just sometimes need to just sit back and say that they were excellent. They were just really good. Let Big Cert reply. He says, it is just a right back at 25 and playing for Arsenal should be able to defend. Now, I think actually Bellerin's defending has come on a lot this season. I think he's getting back to that level that he was at before he had the horrific injury. Big Cert, I'd say in tomorrow's game, really have a good long watch of Bellerin, see how he does defensively. And just watch him solely. I think sometimes there'll be 1 or 2 errors in a game, which you can expect from almost any player during a match. Don't focus on just those, though. Look at the entire match. Look at everything as a whole and try and take that in and break that down. Let's have a look at the front line. The front line is interesting because I want Saka to be playing in this front 3 and I want him to be playing on the left-hand side. For me, Saka had the best international break of all of our players. He was excellent for England, did really, really well, and he has to be playing in a role which gives him that utilisation of using the ability that he has. And so playing in that front 3 is going to be really, really key for Bukayo Saka. And the other guy on the other side being Pepe. Now, whilst Pepe, I've put him on the right, he needs to be positionally different to what he has done previously. He needs to be closer to the central striker. He needs to allow Bellerin to occupy more of that forward space on the right-hand side. He needs to allow Bellerin to be the guy that hugs the touchline. Pepe needs to bring himself more central. Pepe needs to be playing off the heels of Aubameyang at times and being almost a number 10 at instances, coming that far inside. Because playing so far on the right, unfortunately, it's just a case where he's so predictable. And players just show him on his right, or they let him cut inside, but he's very predictable to understand when he's going to do that, and they could just nick the ball off him. And we need to do something within this to try and get Pepe into positions where he's going to be the most effective player that he possibly can be, and ultimately be someone that can have a real influence on the game. And in a team that doesn't typically play counter-attacking style like he did at Lille a lot of the time, he needs to take those opportunities, and he needs to get those opportunities in a more central area. The other player that you'll see that's on my list is Mainsley. Now, Mainsley, of course, has seen very little game time this season. He's someone that has suffered from Arsenal choosing to turn to that try and transition into the back four. But I thought we had one of our best displays against Fulham, and I understand that it was against Fulham, but I actually thought tactically the display on the left-hand side between Tierney, Mainsley and Aubameyang was excellent. And I'm hoping that if Saka is in that position, it can be even more creative and deadly on that side. So that's what I'd like to see us do. Whether or not we will do that, I don't know. I can't see, without having Partey and El Neni, Arteta not going for a simple back three in this game to the point where we did it last season. So that kind of brings me to that conclusion of things. If you've got a question about tomorrow's game, feel free to throw them into the chat box now. Let's go through some of your comments. People are asking about what is the birthday reveal. Malhotra. And yes, I'm announcing today that in 9 months' time there will be a Mini Tom. Mini Tom will be around and he will be called Soboslai. So there you go. Juan Felipe Palacio Rivera says, we are the underdogs of this match. Almost 3 points for sure coming our way. I should have guessed it from the glow on his face. It's just the poor lighting, unfortunately. That's what that is. Saka in for centre-back tomorrow. Really, Beast? You want to play him in that left centre-back slot? I mean, I'm sure you're not serious. But, yeah, no thank you. No thank you. Granit Canton. Dominic Canton incoming in 9. Oh, dear me. Patrick Colson says he thinks he's going to win 3-0. Let's get our predictions and questions into the chat box now. Iron Cub says 3-5-2 with Saka behind Pepe, and Aubameyang would be interesting, but the wing-backs would have to cover a lot of ground. I agree with you 100%. How do we neutralise Leeds' attack? We do what we've done best this season, Chris. We play in a low block when we need to. We play in compact compartments. We play in compact areas. Players need to interchange positions. When Tierney pushes forward, Xhaka drops into that left centre-back slot. I know that a lot of people don't like seeing him do that, but he does offer that necessary protection that we need. And if we're honest, Xhaka, besides a 1 in 50 long shot, doesn't really offer us too much in the final third. So I'm really leaning towards saying that I don't mind those players dropping into those positions when they need to be. Daniel Roberts says, let's be real, it's going to be Lacazette through the middle with Willian. Kian says it's going to be 3-1. James P says Leeds will play into our hands. I think it's going to be 3-1. Last Word Gooner says 1-1. Aubameyang to score from open play. Arjit says, happy birthday, Tom. One of the best Arsenal podcasters I know. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Your kind words. The thing is like, whilst people are saying that we know it's going to be Lacazette and Willian, and I understand your frustrations, but Arteta will just continue to pick someone that he trusts to get the chances made and the chances scored. If he continues to play Lacazette and he continues to fluff his lines, you have to really start throwing out questions in Arteta's direction because it doesn't make sense to do that. Arjit reckons it's going to be 1-1. Karthik says, I just want Pepe to score like 2 or 3 so that Arteta couldn't drop him again. Pepe must play, says Patrick. Iron Cup says, anything less than 6 points from Leeds, Wolves and Spurs will leave me very, very depressed. Chris says, I don't give predictions when I'm not confident. Exactly where we should be as Arsenal fans. I mean, in that sense, you should never give predictions ever because we're never going to feel confident as Arsenal fans. So let's briefly have a quick chat about what I was given. So I'm very, very thankful to have the other half that I have, that I should just say this. And she listens, not to the podcast, because she wouldn't do that to herself, but she listens to the point where I must talk about this guy so much to the point where it's getting slightly ridiculous to how much I talk about this guy, how much I use him on FIFA, and how much I scream his name when I'm playing FIFA. At no other time. I can see where your mind was going there. No. But when I'm playing FIFA and I shoot with him, yeah, it does. It is screamed, and the whole close where I live has to deal with that. So let's show you this little number, what has been purchased. So there you go. And on the back, obviously. Not bad as shirts go. It's actually quite nice. And I'm very well aware of the fact that I'm understanding that he's probably going to be gone in about 2 months' time. But what I wanted to say is that I collect shirts quite a lot, and so it's not necessarily about a player that's obviously going to be gone in that amount of time. What it is about is getting a player that I have enjoyed watching throughout the period that they were at that club, and I wanted to show you some other shirts that I've sort of collected over time. The other Salzburg shirt, because that's my second Salzburg shirt now, is this one, which is one of my favourite shirt designs, which is excellent. And that has got Jonathan Soriano on the back, who, if you don't know, is an amazing striker. He's basically coming to the end of his career now. I believe he's in Spain with Girona now. I've interviewed him. Really nice guy. Really lovely guy to talk to. But yeah, his goal scoring records was up there with the likes of Messi and Ronaldo. I'm not joking. Genuinely, if you look back at his goal scoring records, they were insane, the amount of goals that he scored for them. If we go to this one, should be able to tell what this shirt is. The light doesn't do it too well, but it's very nice purple, actually, if you were to see it in real life. Fiorentina shirt with Borja Valero's name and number on the back, who, of course, used to play for West Brom. But he went into Milan, he came back and ended back up at Fiorentina again. So there's that one. This is obviously a personal favourite for obvious reasons. So we want to have a go at guessing who that is very briefly in the chat. And that's the name on the back. Marco Asensio, when he played on loan for a season at Espanyol before he returned to Real Madrid. That was his breakout season. That was the player that he got 13 assists and 4 goals, and he was 19 years old, and he had an amazing season playing in Espanyol in Barcelona. So unbelievable stuff. Then there's this one, which you would have seen when the Partey video announcement came out, which is this Atletico Madrid shirt with Antoine Griezmann's name on the back, because that really, in La Liga at that time, there was no one that I wanted Arsenal to sign more than Antoine Griezmann when he was at Real Sociedad. And we could have got him, and we didn't. And he ended up going to... of course, Barcelona in the end, and then Atletico Madrid. This one doesn't have a name and number on the back, but it's one that, again, my other half got for me when she went to Turkey, and so she got me this Galatasaray shirt. No one on the back, unless there is a player called Ulka, but there isn't. But yeah, Galatasaray shirt, so that's that one. I've only got a couple more that I've managed to find from the... I mean, there's about a box full of Arsenal shirts as well. We'll have to do a show of them at one point. There's this one, which is the World Cup winning Spain shirt with, of course, the goal scorer himself, Andreas Iniesta, on the back, with a number on the front as well, obviously. So, and then the last one I want to show you, which is a little bit painful from an Arsenal perspective, because he's doing so well now for one of our other rivals, and that is this Sporting Lisbon shirt with Bruno Fernandes on the back of the shirt, which is really frustrating, obviously. But it's been a really good day, and to kind of open up and to get this really nice one with Dominic Szoboszlai, obviously, on the back has been great. What was really funny, I have to say, is that I had a lot of people tweeting when I just put out, because obviously the Arsenal shirt's texture and feel is very similar to that of the Salzburg one, and I tweeted out just a picture of S and Z. The amount of people that DM'd me saying, "Oh my God, has he signed?" Because obviously he's in a red shirt and people thought I had some inside information. We're not that close, unfortunately. I'm really sorry to disappoint you. But yeah, it's been a good day, and I appreciate everyone that sent me a message over on Twitter and in the comments as well. I hope you've enjoyed this prediction show. I'm going to go off now and enjoy the rest of my evening. I should say, I was doing a show earlier on today with Hugh Wizzy. If you haven't checked it out already, go on to Hugh Wizzy. I don't need to tell you who Hugh Wizzy is. You all know who Hugh Wizzy is. So if you hop over to Hugh's channel, we talked about a lot of Arsenal stuff, including the David Luiz and Ceballos fracas. We talked about all the Premier League fixtures for this weekend, and we talked about this guy. So yeah, if you want to try and look at and try and hear Hugh Wizzy pronouncing Soboslai, then it's a good laugh to go check it out. Thibaut Pesca, I know, watched the show a lot, got a question read out on the show as well. So that was good. So please make sure you drop onto Hugh Wizzy's channel and you'll see me having a chat about Arsenal and some other stuff. So yeah. Enjoy the rest of your evening, people. Thank you ever so much. I am obsessed. Obsessed slide. That's the word I wanted to go for. It's very difficult to try and make a play on his words. Soboslai just had to be in there. It did. It just had to be. Him and Asensio. Had to happen. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to speak to you guys as it always is. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. I'm sure you will do. But other than that, I've been Tom. It's been the Gooner Talk. Follow us at the Gooner Talk TV. And as always, up the Arsenal.